Thank you. Chairman Cicilline, Ranking Member Sensenbrenner, and Chairman Nadler, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me to present the views of the American Bankruptcy Institute in support of the several bipartisan bankruptcy measures now pending before the subcommittee. ABI is the world's largest association of professionals practicing in the area of corporate restructuring and personal bankruptcy, with nearly 11,000 members worldwide. I was honored to serve as the co-chair of the ABI's Commission to study the reform of Chapter 11. The 400-page report of the Chapter 11 Commission was the product of more than 3 years of study on how best to improve and modernize the bankruptcy code, with input from all sectors and viewpoints. The report has been an influential resource for stakeholders and cited by numerous federal courts, including the Supreme Court, and inspires reform efforts like the bipartisan bicameral items on today's agenda. Others will speak on some of these bills, but let me focus on two, the Family Farmer Relief Act and the Small Business Reorganization Act. The ABI endorses and urges passage of the Family Farmer Relief Act. This bipartisan and bicameral legislation would increase the debt limits for the filing of Chapter 12 cases from the existing limits, now about 4.1 million, to 10 million. Since its enactment in the midst of the severe farm crisis in 1986, Chapter 12 has been a useful and durable support for the cyclical and economic challenges faced in American agriculture. The original debt limit for Chapter 12 eligibility was $1.5 million. That was set in 1986. However, today's farming operations are larger. Farming has become much more expensive due to the need to access technology. Accordingly, debt loads are much larger, given the capital requirements for farmland equipment and inputs. As a result, the liability cap under Chapter 12, which has been increased for cost of living and other factors over the years, does not align with modern credit and risk environment associated with family farming. This bill would increase that cap to 10 million, which we think is long overdue. A crisis in this sector is already unfolding. Uncertainties in both the trade and commodities markets, as well as the impact of natural disasters, makes this an ideal time to reset Chapter 12 before a larger crisis arrives. I would also, Mr. Chairman, move to admit a letter from the American College of Bankruptcy in support of the Chapter 12 reform.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Let me speak also briefly about the Small Business Reorganization Act. Chapter 11 of the Bankruptcy Code has long been of great value in preserving going concern value jobs and maximizing creditor recoveries for many businesses. Small businesses are the entities that drive job creation in a dynamic economy, but they're also most likely to experience financial distress. As Congress looks to find ways to help small businesses enter the marketplace and create jobs, it should also focus on helping existing businesses succeed and save jobs that otherwise would be lost if those businesses closed their doors. The Small Business Reorganization Act of 2019 is a good start, and we thank Representative Klein and Chairman Cicilline for sponsoring it in the House. This is the jobs bill that is already paid for. It costs us nothing to make the bankruptcy system work better for small business. With some tweaking, it can be an even more effective remedy. The testimony before the ABI Commission strongly established that the Chapter 11 process simply does not work for small and medium-sized businesses. Witnesses testified consistently that small businesses were running away from Chapter 11. And those that filed were filing, frankly, merely to facilitate a quick liquidation. Only 27% of small businesses that file Chapter 11 confirm plans. Why is the Chapter 11 in its existing form not working? It's simply too complex and too costly for these businesses. More importantly, current doctrines that apply in Chapter 11 mean it is a virtual certainty that the existing owners of the business will not get to retain their ownership interests in reorganizing under Chapter 11. The Small Business Reorganization Act fixes those problems. However, like the Chapter 12 bill, we think its debt limit is somewhat too low at $2.6 million. ABI would encourage that the same change be made to this bill, an increase in the debt limit to $10 million for small businesses. The data studied by the ABI Commission seem to establish that as the right level to encompass the businesses that need help. Here, too, I would like to introduce letters from the American College of Bankruptcy and the National Conference of Bankruptcy Judges in support of this legislation.
Without objection, so ordered.
And my time is about up, but I would just take my last statement to also note that the ABI supports the Haven Act, and we would like to submit letters from the American College of Bankruptcy in support of the Haven Act as well.